Hello everyone, welcome back to another weather forecast video. Today we will be going over the tropics and the upcoming pattern changes to the US that will cause our weather to be more active than it has been lately. So today we're going to real quick start it off up here. This is the remnants of Hurricane Oscar that made landfall in Cuba before recurving off to the north. So it is doing its own thing over there, not expected to do anything else. And Hurricane Christy that I talked about yesterday when it was a Category 4 has now become a Category 5, which I believe is the fifth Category 5 recorded in the world in general this season. So we are up to 5, which is a pretty high number. If we bring it over here to our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, we can get the idea of what the possibility for above and below average temperatures across the United States may be for the next 6 to 10 days. And as we can see here, we will have quite the opposite patterns depending on where you are, whereas areas almost the entirety of the eastern and central US will be very likely to have above average temperatures as we go into the October 30th through November 3rd time frame, and areas almost the entirety of the west is more likely to be below average in temperatures as we go into the October 30th through November 3rd time frame. And this kind of gives you the idea of what Halloween may look like as we go into the Halloween time. And I will likely have a dedicated video to a Halloween forecast coming out tomorrow. And if we bring it back here, we can see that our 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook shows areas in the plains and the Midwest will likely be above average in precipitation in the October 30th through November 3rd time frame, so we will have to watch that again for the Halloween time of where there may be storms, and this can give you an idea of where we could possibly see some storms, severe weather, maybe just some heavy rainfall later in the future that will lead us to be above average in precipitation, and we will also be above average in heat in these areas. And if we bring it over here to the GFS, we can get an idea of what the jet stream will be looking like over the next few days here and into the next week as we set up for the possibility of severe weather today and look forward to possible severe weather in the future. So, as you can see here, we have a decently stable jet stream with, if you notice right here, there's a little dip right here. This is a small little area of low pressure dipping down that's going to cause our severe weather in the Iowa, Missouri region today. You can see as that moves off, and then it shows by possibly early next week a big trough coming down, and actually there will be a big buildup of heat in this area here, and so that's kind of what we're looking at on the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook is that heat building here and that trough dipping down here, bringing cold air here, and then the hot air building here. So if we pull this out, and that could possibly spark severe weather in the Great Plains, and we will look at simulated radar in a little bit here. And then it shows the possibility of right behind it, we can see that moves out, ushering down some cold air, and then the heat builds back up in these areas again as another cold blast comes down, bringing the possibility for more severe weather. And this one actually looks pretty impressive. Um, and that's getting really far out now, but that is normal for this time of year as we are in fall, so we're going to see those temperature swings where we're above average and then below average. So we'll be all over the place. But we have been in a decently quiet pattern as the jet stream has been pretty stable. But now that we're looking at the possibility of pattern changes like this, it'll spark the possibility for more possibly significant severe weather in the plains and even some of the northern areas here. If we bring it over here to the simulated radar on the GFS, which basically gives us an idea of where rain or the radar could look like within that time frame. So if we drag it out here, we can see our severe weather event today with a marginal risk. I do not expect to go live for this, but I will be on the lookout just in case. And we can see that move off, fizzle out, and then you can see that trough come down here on Tuesday. and then actually sparking some very heavy snow in areas here, and then bringing the possibility for maybe some severe weather off to the north here, some snow on the backside as this is a more northern system. And this could spark a multi-day severe weather event. I can't say outbreak because we don't know what it may look like, but you can see that sparks almost like a squall line here that moves off, and then that moves out. Heat builds here. As you can see, a new low pressure is primed to drop in, and then here's that big one I was talking about where it drops in, and then could possibly spark severe weather and snow in areas. So we will have to continue to watch for the possibility of severe weather in the future as our weather pattern continues to become more active after leaving this quiet period, and we will look in the future for the possibility of more significant severe weather and possibly outbreaks, but it is way too early to tell. But that is a possibility this time of year as we continue to have ridges and troughs coming in contact, which causes storms to form. And if we bring it over here to our 500 millibar height anomaly, we can get an idea of where cold and hot air masses will likely be. So you see here that we're heating up here for most of the US, and you can see that there is that area of low pressure that has dipped down today and will spark that severe weather in the Iowa-Missouri area. And if we drag this out here, we can see that we will have some very big heat building here, especially as we go into the Great Lakes region here. But you can see that we're going to have quite the flip-flop patterns here as we will have a cold area of low pressure meeting up against a hot area of a ridge. So there will be very warm temperatures, possibly record-breaking temperatures here in the Great Lakes region, while we will be much below average in regions over here. So we continue to drag that out. Same story, heat building, trough comes in, sweeps through, causes it to be cold, and then you can see we end out on quite the opposite patterns here, with much below average temperatures here and much above average temperatures here, and that is completely normal for this time of year, and it's honestly to be expected. And lastly, for a better example of what all this means, we could see here on the temperature graph here, you can see the different areas, temperatures, and this is simulated, so this is what it could look like possibly. So if we drag this out here, you can kind of see that heat beginning to build in the central plains, and then it gets swept off to the east as these areas in the Great Lakes could possibly see record-breaking temperatures for this time of year, and you can see that cold air ushering in and that warm air, just as I showed you on that graph. And then it gets swept out of here and replaced by cold air, and then new heat builds in that area before getting swept out once again. So, as I've said, this pattern is very normal and it'll likely continue, but this will what will spark our next area of active weather and could possibly spark our next severe weather event. So thank you for tuning into this forecast. This live stream is not likely today, but I will continue to monitor the situation. Thank you for joining the forecast, and I hope to see you in the next.